Family make it juicy.
I go to buy sachet water the other day, and I'm told it's 15 naira. And I'm like, 15 naira for what? She said it's the dollar, or the dollar affects the water. And that's the reality of the Nigeria we live in right now. Welcome, my people, to another edition of Street Talk. I am Chinazol Frances Ucheokojama, and today we are on the street to find out how the dollar is affecting the prices of goods and services, and how it's affecting you personally. I also want to find out your advice to the government on what you think they could do to stabilize the dollar rates. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for stopping by to speak to us. So, the dollar right now, how's it affected you personally?
It has affected me mentally, psychologically, physically, spiritually, because
You're rich.
yeah, you know, easy. Person not the chop 3 times again and once. And you go time and you got to time and like around 12 or 11 before you go chop. So I go carry you till evening. Then you do that, you can't use the G's, take settle and like Gary, you know.
Floating berries and all of that stuff.
Focusing.
You still are doing focusing?
No, my Gary and the other cousins are like granite, sugar, and milk, you know.
Sharp. So what do you think the government could do to stabilize the dollar and exchange rates?
I think they should set out like policy and bring foreign investment to here so that the naira will not be just be going outside the country. Like the demand for dollar will not just be high. I think they should bring investment back to Nigeria.
Okay.
They will be trading in naira and other stuff.
Okay, so basically, we have to just stop trading in dollar. So the dollar should not be affecting our prices of goods and services here in Nigeria.
Because of the import rate is very high, so we need to buy dollar before we can be able to purchase anything outside the country. So I think we should start producing our own stuff, bring.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
So the exchange rate right now, how's it affected you personally?
Everywhere it has affected everybody.
Okay. So how's the prices of goods and services and all of that? Your business maybe?
Yeah, actually I'm into metal fabrication. The cost of diesel these days is alarming, so strong that we cannot afford it. The price of a liter of diesel is about 1,002 something. And the fuel as well is affecting us seriously.
So what do you think governments can do to stabilize the price or to stabilize the exchange rate?
Okay, I think we should start working on our resources personally by ourselves. We shouldn't export our oil abroad. We shouldn't shouldn't rely on the white people because it is affecting us seriously. Yeah, I think that's what we need to do.
Well said. Thank you very much. Yeah. Good morning.
My dear, how are you?
Fine, thank you. So the exchange rate right now, how's it affected you personally?
My dear, it affects me too much. Just including rice. 1 delica rice for Lagos is 1,000 naira. Over much. Not only that, look at tomatoes, our product is much. Not only that too, enter inside market, price still, anyone your price higher, is much.
Has it affected your business?
No small thing, like I'm selling shoe. Before 3,000. For the one that I bought here now, 7,000 naira. One is 15,000 naira. Say, wow, what is happening? It's over much.
Yeah, the difference is too much. So what do you think the government can do to stabilize?
Government should help us. So this man, Tinubu say, if he enter, things will be okay. See fuel, higher. See gas, over much. See dozy. It's too much. The man should do something. See what I say though? If after this man, let women enter. Because men, they are not doing us well. We are not getting anything from men. After this man, let women enter. Or army people, let them take over. That is my own rule.
Thank you.
Let army take over. Or women. Finish, my dear. God bless you.
Bless you too. So she said, let women take over. Let women be the ones in power now. Or we go back to our military regime because men are not serving us anymore. So she said. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
So the exchange rate right now, how has it affected you personally?
Honestly, to myself, when the result was announced that Tinubu won the election,
Yeah.
I told some of my friends that very soon I'll sign citizen with the Cameroonians because I know that once Tinubu enter, it will not be easy. And the problem we have in this country is that I don't know why they don't want to give an Igbo man to lead as president. Because to my own view, if it was Obi that enter, I believe things will be better. The thing is affecting me.
Okay, so what do you think the governments can do to stabilize the foreign exchange rate?
To be honest, I'm not seeing the government doing anything, honestly.
So you don't think there's anything they can do?
Honestly, there's nothing they can do.
Oh, so you want we should continue living this way?
Because there's nothing we can do. Because they are not even listening to us. I believe they have been watching how people are suffering. People find it difficult to feed. So to me, if they have something to do, they could have done it since. So I don't think, the only prayer that we'll be praying that is, let God help us to overcome this. Let's see how Tinubu will rule and finish. Then let us pray and see whether by God grace after 8 tenors, maybe after the 8 tenors, maybe God will help us with somebody that will have the feelings of his people, because Tinubu doesn't have feelings for his people.
Okay, thank you very much. So he said to wait to the end of the 8 years, wait to the end of 8 tenures. Good morning.
Good morning.
So the exchange rate now, how has it affected you personally?
Yeah, it's affecting all commodity in the market. As you can see, the rate of which we are buying things in the market has gone high compared to before. And if you go to the market now, you see market women, they are suffering and they are not able to, they don't have the capacity to buy as much as they could due to the rate of dollar and some other things. So it is expected of the government to work on the exchange rate so that they'll be able to afford their commodity.
So how do you think the government can work on the exchange rate to stabilize it?
Meanwhile, I think they need to work with the CBN and to be able to see how they can fast track the rate and in terms of dollar, because I know that most of the things that we purchase in Nigeria is based on the capacity of dollar.
So do you know what the acronym CBN stands for?
CBN is Central Bank of Nigeria.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
So the exchange rate right now, how has it affected you personally?
It has affected me in so many ways. Cost of living, transportation, and health wisely. So it has not been easy. Mostly this year, since the dollar increased, I'm finding it difficult, honestly, yes.
So what do you think the government and the regulators of the exchange rates, what do you think they could do to stabilize it?
I don't know, but they have to look for a way to help the poor masses, because they are really suffering and they are making the youth to go into things that will not help them tomorrow. Yes.
Thank you. So she said the poor masses are really suffering. So the government has to look for a way to stabilize this exchange rate so that we, the poor people, so that we can breathe, right? And she also said it's making the youth go into things that wouldn't help them tomorrow, going to crime rate. So the crime rate recently now is higher than it was before. Good morning.
Good morning.
So the exchange rate, how has it affected you personally?
Is much like now a pure water is 15 naira.
What I heard though, what I bought.
15 naira. I bought 15 naira. Once you ask what's the problem, they will say dollar is high, dollar is this, dollar is that. I beg. If they know what they will do for the dollar, I beg, may they do. Understand? Some people just they put that dollar for mind. They use and they intimidate people. You understand? So people cannot buy what they want to buy because the thing is very expensive. So even now, I paid like, let me say, 500 from Onitsha to Asaba. They say dollar is high, this, that, this. So maybe they try to reduce the thing.
So what do you think governments can do to reduce it?
Government should look into it. Because we poor masses, we know how we are struggling to make a living. Since the complaint is much, so they know what to do. They know what to do. Maybe they do the right thing at the right time. You understand? So that is what I can say. Yeah.
We are still on the streets of Asaba, and here we have with us another person. Good morning.
Good morning.
So the exchange rate right now, how has it affected you personally?
Personally, because of the high cost of commodities, high cost of living, everything is shooting up high. So it has affected the standard of living. Suffering has set in. And now people are struggling. some of us that are doing some works, people will complain there is no money to come and give us patronage. So people start to manage themselves, to do service to themselves. You have clothes to do in the laundry because of the situation of
Start
things.
doing it
You manage
yourself.
to do it yourself. Then the laundry man begin to complain. So these things, it has made the naira to be less valued. When you have 10,000 naira now, it's like you don't have anything. It's just as if you just went to the market to buy snacks and it's gone. But before, it used to be something that the whole family will use to survive.
So what do you think the government can do to stabilize?
Anything that will make the dollar rate to come down. For example, if the government can look into the matter, where did this thing start from? What is the cause? Because if you know the cause of a problem, you'll be able to profile a solution to that very problem. What is the cause of this problem? Why is the exchange rate so high and working against us in this country? So these are the things to look into it. Let's see what is the cause. Let governments investigate. Let professionals look into what is the root cause of this matter. Is it corruption on the side of government? Is it that the country doesn't have enough resources to help their citizens? Where is the problem? And I don't believe that there is no resources. There is resources. So there is corruption somewhere, in my own view. So let governments look into it and feel the pain of the masses. If they don't feel the pain of the masses, they will not do anything. But if they feel the pain of the masses, definitely there is a way out. They can proffer a solution. Yes.
So he said to identify the root of the problem, as when you identify the root of the problem, that's the only time you can offer solutions to the problem. We're still on the streets of Asaba. Let's go find more people to talk to. Good morning, ma.
Morning.
So basically, the dollar and the exchange rate, how has it affected you personally? How has it affected your food business?
It affects us also because this rice where we are buying now is so much money. The rice now is 60. Local rice now is 40 something, 50. Then baga we are buying now, baga is 1,000 something now.
So even the dollar itself, they affect.
Even the dollar itself is affecting everything we are doing for this business. So if they can do anything possible.
But how about sales? Does it affect sales as well?
Yeah, it's affecting everything. Everything, it's affecting everything. So we are just managing ourselves for this food we are cooking now. There is no money, but we are managing ourselves for the rice, for the everything. Even tomatoes is costly now.
So what do you think the government should do?
If the government can help us, they can talk to the people that are there on seats so that they can reduce all these things for us, for we to survive. That's what we need. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So the exchange rate and dollar, how did they affect you?
You are affecting woman can't very well because before there was say dollar is 150 naira. They will say that dollar is 200, but now dollar is now 1,000 because everything before is very cheap. But now a bag of rice is now going to 70,000. A poor man cannot chop. You couldn't mean now, I am looking for food to do. Now, we I want to buy a bit of food before, it's 300 naira. But I buy now, everything is expensive. I sell you a bit of food now, 700. But a diabetes, I sell you 3,000. In this shoemaker thing, it affected my own business too. I cannot see money to buy certificate material. Now for you to demand it now 200 naira, but they are currently 100 naira because of the fresh charges and the dollar everything. Everything don't go up. I did not know before December. I did not know how the fuel will look like because fuel dollar it affects human count. But I don't need to you now that some people are very bitterly on this because of this money charges and dollar. We know that the people that are selling food, they will tell you their own view. May I have my own view.
So what do you think the government can do to help us?
Here the government empower everybody, going to street to look for the people that are not doing handwork. Here they empower them. Two, here they go to those people that are doing handwork. Here they stay with them. They what they feel like. Here they, I mean, I read the government will come there, come and tell me what do you feel like. I will tell them my own view. They will tell them, because if person did not tell your own problem, you will not know.
But the dollar, what do you think the government can do to stabilize the dollar?
Here the government handle the dollar. Here the government reduce the dollar down to 400 so that people should feel
400.
400. It's okay, or 400 or 300. It's okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Mama, good morning. No.
Morning.
Mama, so this dollar, this exchange rate, how you think that affects you personally?
Now Yoruba go dey speak. This my brother, now my brother, but he can't make everything cost. And I want me carry everything down.
So how you think say you fit do and make carry everything down?
He go do am normal now. As the people do am, this self go do am, me dey normal. Because now my brother, I no go say no be my brother, but I no want wetin go dey affect everybody, dey affect himself. So may carry everything down.
All right, Mama. So your business, how did it affect your?
It dey affect me sef. Wetin we dey buy 1,000 naira now na 5,000 naira we dey buy am. Na im make me say the thing dey vex me na because of my brother na him dey there. You understand? The thing dey affect me.
So but the sales of the business, because they move like they moved before.
E no dey move as they move before because they know say everything cost. People no dey buy again. You understand? I want everything to come down now. Every market go dey move. Normal.
Thank you, Mama. Thank you. We've heard from so many people on what they have to say. Some have said to identify the root of the problem, as that's the only time we can offer solutions. Some have said to bring the dollar down, you know, as they want to do, and make sure and bring the dollar down. Some have said, it's only when the dollar goes to 400 naira, that's when things can be better. Some have said we should just even stop dealing with dollar self, like dollar should not be affecting anything in Nigeria. Well, that brings us to the end of Street Talk, today's edition of Street Talk. And do well to stay with us as we bring you more exciting topics next time on Street Talk.
Make it juicy.
Good morning. On behalf of the board, management and staff of Delta Broadcasting Service, DBS Asaba, and on behalf of the production crew, I welcome you to Wednesday's edition of The Morning Ride. My name is Blessing Usiagbada, and I'm here with the lovely Perpetua Iboba. Good morning, Perpetua.
Good morning, Blessing.
How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Together, Perpetua and I were ready to kickstart your day with informative conversations, and we're going to look at the stories that matter this morning. So please sit back, stay tuned, and let's enjoy the ride together. We just brought to you Street Talk this morning. That was our first segment. And on Street Talk, we went around town to ask Deltans, to ask our respondents what has been the effect of the exchange rate on the prices of goods and services. Now we know what is happening, and we know that since the beginning of this year, the Naira has been falling. The Naira has not been strong at all, and it has affected literally everything in the country. Goods, services, it has even affected our petroleum industry, because we hear of the Dangote refinery saying they are going to sell their petroleum products to the NNPCL according to how they bought the crude oil in dollars.
Yes.
And that is how they're going to sell to the NNPCL. So for now, they've not come up with an official statement to say this is how we are going to sell our products, because the crude oil that he used in refining those, the crude oil that was used in the production was bought in dollars. So the dollar is literally, it is determining everything that is happening in the country, from goods and services. And it's not really nice at all, because Nigerians are having a very, very hard time this period. Better your take on that.
The price of goods and services are skyrocketing, and they are not just skyrocketing at a fixed price, they are skyrocketing at a continually increasing price. You know, I may buy rice today for, let's say, 100,000 naira, and when I come back tomorrow, they'll tell me it's 105. A day after tomorrow, it's 110. So it's not funny. Nobody's finding it easy. Those people that stay on their own are not finding it funny. People with children,
parents,
my heart goes out to them. Parents with children, my heart goes out to them. But we pray that whatever it is, you know, it will be mitigated, because as little as stationery, even rent has increased. Let's not go into the details, but whatever it is, I just pray that things become better and life becomes comfortable for everybody at the end of the day.
Last month, the FCCPC actually came out and issued a circular to traders, in fact to all business persons, saying they're giving them 1 month to reverse the prices of their goods and services. But we see that that is not possible. Like, it can happen. And a few weeks after they came out to debunk that circular, it was from them. They actually had a plan to, you know, make sure that those that sell in the market, those who are businessmen and businesswomen, actually, you know, cut down on their prices. But look at what's happening. The NLC is shouting, and they're feeling betrayed, that the federal government betrayed them, because the only reason why they accepted the 70,000 naira minimum wage was because they did not want the federal government to increase the prices of petrol. But now the federal government, after agreeing to the 70,000 naira, the price of petrol has gone up. So the NNPC is crying foul. They feel betrayed. They said the federal government has betrayed them. And if you look at it, the 70,000 naira that was agreed upon months ago, it's irrelevant now, because with the current price of petrol, the current price of goods and services, that 70,000 naira, it's not enough for civil servants in the country.
So there's a need for them to go back to the
It is going to be a tough fight.
table,
I don't see the NLC sitting down with the federal government and, you know, reviewing this part. I don't see it. For me, I don't think it's possible. The NLC, they've already made the big mistake. When negotiating with the federal government, they need to know exactly what they're asking for, and they stand by the agreements that were, you know, that were reached during the meeting. But now it's like the federal government, they've played the NLC. That's what it is. They've played them.
But no matter how difficult, you know, mistakes, or no matter how grave mistakes are, I still believe in the power of correcting mistakes. I don't believe in anything like it's too late. I feel like the NLC should go back to the negotiation table and talk things out, not just for the sake of those who are in the NLC or those who are in government, for the sake of everybody right now. because it's not funny. It
But
is not funny.
But you know
that
the way these
the
negotiations
minimum wage cannot buy a bag of rice. Let's calculate it. Let's do this simple mathematics. A loaf of bread is now 2,000, 2,005. Now, as a mother, I'm coming back from work and I want to get, let's say, a loaf of bread for my family.
Yes.
Now, 2 times 30 or 31, that's 62,000. It means that away from my minimum wage, I'm left with 8,000 naira in a month.
You're talking
That's
like you're
why
going to
we need
receive
go
the
back
entire
to-
70,000 naira. You're not going to do that. Whatever amount it's,
I'm making an estimate.
Whatever it gets to, you're not taking everything
exactly
home
I know.
every month.
I'm
No,
not-
there are deductions.
I know I'm not taking everything home, but
Yeah.
I'm estimating it now to the nearest 1,000. And I'm still telling you that even after estimation to the nearest 1,000 in mathematics, I'm still not taking anything tangible home. That's why no matter how difficult it sounds, because of the increasing because of the increase rather in the cost of goods and services, I think that they should go back to the negotiation table,
No,
because with
I
the way
disagree.
things are going now,
I
I don't
totally
think that
disagree.
things are going to reduce.
I totally disagree.
So we should
because
bear the brunt
we
of the
have seen-
70,000 naira.
No. What I think the NLC should do is they had agreements, right? The last time they met to talk about the minimum wage, there were agreements made. So the NLC should stick to that agreement. This is not a time for them to negotiate because negotiations have ended already. The federal government has failed to fulfill the promise of, not increasing the petrol price and, the implementation of the 70,000
So
naira.
what
It's
do you
taking a long time.
suggest?
The federal government has gone further to add salt to injury by saying that the implementation of the minimum wage will start from July, not May. So the NLC now should take action as a labor union that it ought to be. Take action and they have different means of relaying or different means of telling the federal government that they're not happy. This is not a time for them to negotiate. They had agreements already. If you and we have agreement and I renege on the agreement or I renege on our contract, then you could sue me to court.
So you
could sue me to court, or you could protest. You could say, okay, you know what, Blessing, I'm not going to honor this agreement anymore because you failed on your part. I am not going to come to work with you.
And do you think a protest would yield?
That is what should happen.
An indefinite strike
It will definitely
or
call the
protest
attention
should
of the federal government
to
because
do
that's the
something.
only thing they listen to in Nigeria. All the memorandum of understandings they've had with different unions, even NAD, ASU, they don't honor them. So it's obvious the federal government do not respect these unions, but the labor union should fight for the rights of workers because that is what they are meant to do.
I'm still of the opinion that before
Negotiations,
they embark
no, you
on
and I know how
I'm
the
still of
negotiations
the
go.
opinion, Blessing, that before they embark on these protests
Yes,
or indefinite strike,
Mhm.
they should sit first and hear the federal government. Then, if the federal government does not want to, comply, then they can go ahead. But
All right.
before doing so, they should sit with the federal government to try to renegotiate.
Well, I think the federal government has failed to honor the agreements they had with the NLC, and it's time for the NLC to act. We don't want to call them the toothless bulldog. They should really prove that they are there to fight for the rights of workers. It's up to the NLC to act on this and make sure that the federal government honors the agreement and the federal government begins the implementation, and state governments as well begin the implementation of the new minimum wage because workers are not having it easy in the country right now. We move away from street talk. Next segment is paper review this morning. We have so many papers that we will be reviewing. We have the Daily Independent, we have the Punch, Vanguard, the Guardian, Daily Trust, the Nigerian Tribune, and the Daily Times newspapers. Perpetua and I will reel out these headlines and we'll talk about these headlines this morning. The first paper, I'll start with the Daily Independent newspaper. The Daily Independent newspaper has as major headline, Nigerians grappling with realities of soaring living costs, says Akpabio. We just talked about street talk, and now look at the major headline on the Daily Independent. The Riders says challenges testing every fabric of our society. Tinubu asks Senate to confirm Kekere Edun as CJN. At the top strip of the Daily Independent, we have drama in court as Justice Nyako withdraws from trial of Nnamdi Kanu. Inadequate funding, manpower impeding our performance, says Army Chief. At the bottom strip, we have Nigeria's unemployment rate increased to 5.3% in first quarter of 2024. That is on page 29. Federal government complaint. Ombudsman says Daily Trust breached media professional standards. That's on page 7. U.S. Chamber of Commerce commits $320 million to mortgages, SMEs in Nigeria. That's on page 29. On page 7, again, we have tourist experts canvass reduction in visa fees. In visa fees adoption of technology. Tourist experts canvass reduction in visa fees and adoption of technology. Army discharges female soldier who accused officer of sexual harassment. That is on page 6. We will continue to increase rates as inflation rises, says Kajoso. This is going from the CBN governor. He's saying, we'll continue to increase rates as inflation rises. The riders, CBN raises MPR to 27.25%, CRR to 50%. States need to curtail excess liquidity, meet FX demand pressures. The last headline from the Daily Independent. Power struggle, main cause of conflict in Nigeria, Africa, says Jonathan. That is on page 6 of the Daily Independent.
All right, moving on to the Punch newspaper this morning. The major story here says, subsidy. Federal government may spend 236 billion naira monthly on imported Dangote petroleum. Marketers, others back Dangote on subsidy removal. Meman lifts over 50 million litres of Dangote petrol. At the top strip, it says, banditry. Zamfara governor reports defense minister to NSA. CBN, banks sell $9 billion as naira weakens to 1,670 naira per dollar. Edo, APC dismisses poll fraud. Police recover stolen BVAS. All right, still looking at the Punch newspaper right here, it says new interest rates may worsen bad loans. This is coming from OPS. Kanu, court drama as judge steps down. Then at the bottom strip of the newspaper, it says federal government explains minimum wage July 29 back pay. Federal government explains minimum wage July 29 back pay. Lagos man jailed 8 years for child molestation. And lastly, looking at the Punch newspaper this morning, it says work begin on federal government 2025 budget.
Now let's take a look at the Vanguard newspaper. The major headline on the Vanguard newspaper this morning: unemployment up by 5.3% as CBN hikes interest rate to 27.25%. So many writers to that story. Interest rate hike detrimental to investment, economic growth, says experts. Cost of funds will be further exacerbated. This is coming from NASIMA president. Banks, financial institutions may witness more bad debt. That is coming from Asborn. Unemployment reality on ground is far worse. This is coming from a company, okay. Dangote Refinery, I'll reduce FX pressure, says Cardoso. That is on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. At the top mast, we have, amidst rising poverty, money supply increases 62% to 107 trillion naira. That is on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper. Lord. On page 8, federal government welcomes ombudsman ruling over Daily Trust's inaccurate report on Samoa agreement. 2 million security personnel can't protect over 200 Nigerians, says Chief of Army Staff. That's on page 10. Tinubu rejects bill seeking to raise retirement age of National Assembly staff. That is on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. Things we see in Nigeria. And the bottom strip, we see hunger U.S. Chamber of Commerce votes $320 million for mortgage financing, SMEs and others in Nigeria. That's on page 9. Deny ties with banditry by swearing on Quran. Matawale challenges Zamfara Governor General Gusau. That's on page 22. Let's go to the point where our politicians will not have to swear by the Quran or by the Bible, because the things we hear. Okay, let's move on. Reactions trail Dangote's call for petrol subsidy removal. That's on page 20. Edo poll. Why INEC must probe officials involved in rigging. This is coming from Yaga Africa. The writer says, APC to group. Don't turn yourself into parallel agency. That's on page 7. Inflation. Others have tested society's fabric. Says Senate. That's on page 8. And in sports, Dangote speaking this morning, and he says, why I can't buy Arsenal again.
He wanted buying Arsenal, actually. He regretted. That was what he was saying, that he had his regrets. And if he had bought Arsenal, I think it would have been, something really big.
Well, it's his money.
Yeah, it is.
So it's his decision to really make. And he has made his decision. He decided to, build the refinery instead of buying a football club.
Yeah.
Both investments would have been good.
Yes.
So anyone it's not a bad investment to actually set up a refinery. Let's move on.
All right, looking at the Guardian newspaper this morning, the major story here says, growing jobless, self-employed Nigerians dim tax potential. You can find this on page 6. It also gives an illustration of the overview of the Nigerian labor market. Yes, still looking at the Guardian newspaper this morning, it says, Tinubu advocates multilateralism, permanent UNSC seat, and debt forgiveness. You can find this news on page 3. All right, moving on, it says, judge rescues self from Nnamdi Kanu's treason trial. You can find this on page 29. Senate resumes, urges action on economic security challenges. You can find this on page 3. All right, 5,225 slain officers. Benefits cost police 15.6 billion naira in a year. You can find this on page 7. NPR, concerns over job cuts. Food hike as CBN says nation not yet out of the woods. You can find this on page 6. Right at the bottom strip, it says Dangote advocates total subsidy removal. Okupe disagrees. You can find this on page 5. Police invite leader of October 1 #End Bad Governance planned protests. You can find this on page 7. And lastly, looking at the Guardian newspaper this morning, it says PDP warns against alleged ploy to rig Ondo Goba poll. You can also find this on page 7.
Next is the Daily Trust newspaper. The Daily Trust newspaper has as major headline this interesting story that says Army discharges female soldier over accused officer of sexual advances, and the riders cites mental challenge, exonerates colonel of allegation, Women Affairs Ministry silent. Quite interesting. At the top marks we had Zamfara. Lawal, Matawale's feud gets messier. Against expectations, CBN raises interest rate to 27.25%. Tinubu seeks UN permanent seats, debt forgiveness for Nigeria, others. At the bottom strip, we have Nigerians grappling with hardship. This is coming from Akpabio, and I'm surprised it's coming from the Senate.
He said Nigerians
are grappling with hardship.
Oh,
I think they're just getting to know that. On page 22, we have BUA donates 2 billion naira, Binani 50 million naira to Borno flood victims. That's a good one. Akure goes to sleep as monarch begins leave. That's on page 16. And the last headline, EFCC probes own staff over 15 million naira bribery allegation. That is on page 7. And this is going to be a very, very interesting story. VDM has actually came up with an allegation, and it's an allegation of a 15 million naira bribery. So it's the EFCC investigating the EFCC.
Exactly.
Quite interesting.
All right, looking at the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning, the major story here says, concerns as CBN raises interest rate to 27.25%. You can find this on page 5. Manufacturers to continue paying high interest rate. Tightening of MPC detrimental to investment and economic growth. This is coming from the CCPE. NACIMA expresses concern. Lists impact on businesses, inflation. Over 4 million Nigerians unemployed in 2023. This one is coming from the NBS. At the bottom strip, it says, Dangote advocates total fuel subsidy removal. Pengasson to federal government. Increase your shareholding in Dangote refinery to 45%. You can find this on page 6. Tinubu sends Kekere Ekun's name. 21 RMAFC commissioners to Senate for confirmation. You can find this on page 4. And on page 30, it says Biafra. Justice Nyako withdraws from Nnamdi Kanu's trial. Still at the bottom strip, it says Edo election. Observers should not usurp INEC roles. APC carpets Yaga Africa. Polls fell short of credibility and requirement. This one is coming from observers. Police arrest 6, recover weapons and 50 voter cards. You can find this on page 4. 2 feared drowned as flood hits Ibadan. You can find this on page 26. And at the bottom strip of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning, it says Adeleke reduces work days for Osun workers and extends palliative payment. You can find this on page 2. Tinubu declines assent, returns bill on new retirement age for NAS workers. You can find this on page 3. And lastly, it says Abdul Samad Rabiu donates 2 billion naira to support Maiduguri flood victims. You can find this on page 410.
The last paper for review is the Daily Times newspaper. The major headline: Nigerian Army dismisses female soldier who accused senior officers of sexual harassment. That's on page 2. At the topmast, Edo poll, 5 returning police officers dead, 11 others injured in auto crash. NDLEA nabs ex-convict with 4.6 billion naira worth of cocaine at MMIA. That's on page 4. EFCC investigates officers over 15 million naira bribe allegation by cross-dresser Bobrisky. That's on page 6. Fresh cholera outbreak kills over 41 in Jigawa. That is a sad story, and that's on page 19. Tinubu throws out tenure elongation bill for NAS officers. You can find that on page 5. And at the bottom strip, we have why Justice Binta Nyako withdrew from Nnamdi Kanu's trial. And then the last headline from the Daily Times: inflation cripples Nigeria's construction sector as developers struggle to keep projects afloat. That's on page 15. I did say that it has affected everything in the country. And this headline is saying it has affected even the construction sector, because developers are struggling to keep their projects afloat. We'll come back to the studio now. These are the papers we will be reviewing this morning, but we'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we will be joined by our newspaper analyst, Engineer Meshach Oza. Please stay tuned.
My people, una know say to chop plenty fruit and vegetable every time dey help person live long. You no go fit see anything when they give good nutrition when boku pass fruit and vegetable. Fruits and vegetables get plenty vitamins like vitamin A, B, C, and E, and other minerals like magnesium, zinc, phosphorus, potassium, and folic acid. You see, food wey contain vegetables and fruit, they help lower blood pressure, reduce the risk of heart disease and stroke, prevent some kind cancer, help lower cholesterol level and blood pressure, remove yamayama from your system, protect you from digestion wahala and high problem, come make your skin dey shine muke muke. E good to eat fruits and vegetables every day, and if you even get blender, you fit blend different fruit wey you like together to make sweet drink wey oyibo dey call smoothie. Now the Delta State Committee of Food and Nutrition and Delta State Ministry of Information now bring una this message.
That first news, that first kick, that first cry, and those first moments put baby to mother's breast right away. That first yellowish milk, colostrum, has the nutrients baby needs to grow healthy, strong, and sharp. Ask your health worker to put your baby to the breast within the first hour.
Start strong. Zero water exclusive breastfeeding for better future.
This message is
Welcome back. Joining us this morning on Paper Review is our newspaper analyst, Engineer Meshach Oza. Good morning, Engineer Meshach. Thank you so much.
Always,
Good morning.
Always a wonderful morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, Pepe.
All right, we'll read out the headlines, but let's look at some of them one after the other. The Daily Independent has its major headline, and this headline is in all the newspapers as well. But the Daily Independent captured it this way: Nigerians grappling with realities of soaring living costs, says Akpabio. And Akpabio says the challenges are testing every fabric of our society.
What put us in that situation?
Exactly the question.
That's the question. I mean, it's part of the game changers that transform this nation to negativity of leadership and governance that we find ourselves today. And it's unfortunate they are undermining the voice of the people, the power of mass movement. People are pained. Every day the situation keeps getting worse. And when you look at the way those in positions of authority flaunt their wealth and their lifestyle, it hurts the more because it's not a true reflection of what we expect from them. And the way they even speak, they speak with so much arrogance, so much impunity that you make the electorate want to feel, yes, that we have two divides, that there's a separation, whether once you're not in power, you're irrelevant. But moving forward, it is not about you raising the points. What is the National Assembly?
I even wonder who is raising the point for.
Yeah,
who is it telling?
Is it
that
telling
we are
us to change? Is it telling us to do it? They are in the position. The National Assembly. They are in the position. The party, the APC. They are in the position. The ruling oligarchs. They know themselves.
It's
they
closer to those
that can solve the problem.
Exactly.
They make the policies. They make the laws. So I mean, you are telling me that that is the end receiver of your bad policies to come and take action. What do you expect the citizens to do? How do you want them to react? Exactly. So it's basically it's stealing for Peter to pay Paul. This is I'm totally not in tune with what he has said, because it's the reality though. But it should have been telling us what the government wants to do, what the government ought to do.
We don't even need them to tell us anymore, because they've been
no, the government, what they should be telling, they should start doing something.
Exactly, that's what I wanted to say. Stop telling us,
stop
and
telling us, we
want
action.
So
and then we will be the people to say, man, this government is doing well by the actions.
So you don't need to come and tell us, remind us
that we are suffering. That's just like reminding a poor man that you are really poor.
Yeah, really poor. What's in it? Don't remind us. We know. Just act on it.
All right. This headline is from the Punch newspaper. It says federal government may spend 236 billion naira monthly on imported Dangote petrol.
No,
now it goes
imported.
further to say marketers, others back Dangote on subsidy removal. Merman lifts over 50 million liters of Dangote petrol. Now, my question, I want to come from this angle. Now, my question, we have refineries in the country. Rather than the country or the federal government spending these billions of naira on imported Dangote petrol, okay, since Dangote is ours, why don't they like divide the money? You know, part of the money goes into rehabilitation of the refineries we already have. Because trust me, if these 4 refineries are already functioning, I don't think we would feel the heat of the escalating price in the cost of petrol. Or what do you think, Mr. Michel?
Well, it's an unfortunate situation. The 4 refineries have been in this state. It's been more like a conduit pipe to steal our collective commonwealth. Every year, monies are budgeted for turnaround maintenance. The refineries have never worked. It has stopped. The Warri refinery, for example, stopped working about 22 years ago. Yeah, we stopped production. Not to Leme refinery over a decade ago. Kaduna refinery, I can't even remember. So, but every year, monies are budgeted for this.
Yes.
No, there's some fundamental issue, underlying issue here. Somebody is not telling us the truth. Dangote is not telling us the truth. The government is not telling us the truth. NNPC is the biggest liar. And when you look at what is happening, you look at a situation where it's the same players in the energy sector and compromises. If I don't meet your compromise, I won't do this. NNPC is blackmailing Dangote. Has been totally removed.
Subsidy is gone.
It's gone. So who is deceiving who? Meanwhile, NNPC, some independent marketers will come out that are still paying for subsidy. NNPC tells you there's no subsidy, and that nobody is paying for subsidy. So I think there's a fundamental issue somewhere. And the truth is, some people are there that don't want NNPC to work because they're benefiting from the importation of crude oil. How can we have crude? It's just like you having fuel. You have generator, it is bad. You understand? Now you keep going to higher generator anytime you want to power your house. Does it make? Why don't you fix your gen? What I have.
And this is monthly. This amount of money, 236 billion naira. It is monthly. They're going to be spending this money on imported products and Dangote products as well.
Blessing, when the 4 refineries were working, I remember vividly, life was sweet. Now, sweet in the sense that NNPC, you could have access to the depot. A lot of the politicians you are seeing in Delta State working today worked at that Warri depot. A lot of them hustled in that depot. I don't want to name names. They hustled there. They know, if they are listening to me, they know themselves. And it was, depot money was oil money. You were sure, you see tankers loading, steady loading of tankers. I know people that built houses from the hustle, they were hustling in Warri depot then. So now, the place has become a game reserve. And when you allow something, when you park a car for long, if it has flat tire, you park it for long, other mechanical faults will arise.
Yes.
That is the way it is. There's going to be a fundamental mechanical fault or fundamental mechanical malfunctioning of the end of the cracking system in the NNPC and all the NNPCs when they will start. But my question is this: where has the 1 trillion of naira they've been spending
on rehabilitation of this refinery?
They call it turnaround maintenance. Turnaround maintenance means a total, just like we refurbish the whole of DBS, change the transmitters. That is what turnaround maintenance look like. And still it doesn't work. And every year, and no document. No.
No document, no evidence.
Our leaders are scamming us.
Okay, let's look at the Vanguard newspaper. The Vanguard newspaper has as major headline: unemployment up by 5.3% as CBN hikes interest rate to 27.25%. Some of the riders, I'm going to take some of them. This one says interest rate hike detrimental to investment and economic growth, says experts. Cost of funds will be further exacerbated. This is coming from NASIMA president. Banks, financial institutions may witness more bad debt, says Asborn. And unemployment reality on ground is far worse.
You see, it's a very terrible situation, and I think when you look at the spiral inflation and what we're going through, and the fact that, in fact, the two biggest institutions that the government uses to deceive Nigeria and corruptly loot our collective commonwealth are the NNPC and the CBN. You are asking that you want to attract investors, and you are supposed, when you want to attract investors, with tax waivers, and of course reduction in interest rate repayment. Let me tell you something. Why are industries and manufacturers running to Benin Republic, Togo, and Ghana? Because the tax waiver favors the investor more. There are no multiple taxations like we see in Nigeria, and the bureaucracy of export and import is highly reduced financially on the importer or exporter in this country. But yeah, the story is something else. Now, how can somebody borrow billions of naira to execute a job or to go into an investment, and you are paying almost half of that money as interest? It's not enough. And besides all that, agents of government and the states, agents of state will come and start taxing you. Even agents of local government will come. So it's multiple taxation, tons of manufacturers, tons of investors. And now the CBN has policies that are always tantamount to macroeconomic indices, and that is what we're seeing today. It is going to be difficult. The unemployment rate is going to increase. By December, we're going to have about 10.5% unemployment rate. Just mark what I'm saying. Now, if we're having people in the banking sector are going to lose their jobs, definitely about that. And the economy is not being helped by lack of power. If Nigerians are very industrious. If people are losing their jobs, and at the same time there's power, even when there's power, a lot of people will not even doing white collar jobs.
Yes.
Nigerians are good manufacturers, they have good investors. You see, it's self-employment. You see, people, you can't be, I know if you're a seamstress, a tailor, or a fashion designer, for example, you will make more money than being believe what I'm telling you.
And all of this is happening when we wonder why the CBN is increasing the interest rate, and now it is 27.25%
from 26.5%.
The Daily Independent captured it this way: we will continue, he says, we will continue to increase rates as inflation rises.
Instead of them to think of how to fight inflation,
they're increasing
the rates. Is everybody? What if you increase it? People don't go and borrow money from the bank. You are destroying the economy more when you when you put a high tariff on loans and all that. Now, what do you need to do? The government is losing it. Improve on the manufacturing sector, and the only way you can improve is to give them interest waiver. But now you are strangulating this sector, because when there's no production, there's no way inflation can be reduced. Production for exportation. There was in the 70s, 80s, because we're producing, we didn't dwell on oil. We had regional cash crops, regional food crops. The North were known for groundnut pyramid. They were exporting groundnut, they were exporting cotton, they were exporting a lot sorghum, they were exporting a lot of things. Then there were cash crops that they were eating. The Southwest had cocoa, had kola nuts. The South, Midwest basically had palm. You had the rubber that we're exporting. Then talk of food crops, things were everywhere. Now, when you export, the gross domestic product improves and inflation drops. But this We import up to toothpick. We import almost everything,
It's
even
sad.
from neighboring countries here.
We
So
do.
what do you expect? Inflation will go. Now, inflation will importation puts pressure on the naira against the dollar, and the government is not saying. Instead, you are trying to strangulate an industry, the manufacturing industry, the production industry, that can help effectively reduce the impact and import of inflation. And that is where our economic advisors, the technocrats that are expected to be advising the president and his cohorts, are really not doing their job. I mean, we have great technocrats like Bismarck Rewinder, and we have great technocrats that whose policies, their advice will, you know why they don't take advice of technocrats?
Why?
Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because it will not favor their looting. It will not aid and abate their greed and avarice. They are stealing.
understandable.
They will not.
Is it for the sake of their looting or for the betterment of the masses?
They are not concerned. Let me tell you something about if you've read Animal Farm, about the oligarchs. When we call them oligarchs, people that power is different from wealth.
Okay.
Power is addictive.
Yeah.
There will have a lot of wealthy people who don't aspire for power. They just want to become, they want to be happy. But power intoxicates and intoxicates badly.
Yeah.
And it creates an ambience of you thinking you are superhuman. You want to gather everything. And that is where our mentality towards power acquisition in this country is such that we use it for oppressive purposes. Meanwhile, the white man or insane clients, in line with international best practices, they utilize power for the economic value of everyone within their polity. But here the reverse is the case. So we need to understand the differentials here. Our style of democracy is bad. Our style of citizens' response. We citizens were part of the problem. Because I'll tell you how, when your brother or your friend gets into a position of, in fact, the mentality of the average Nigerian sees politics as an option out of poverty. The mentality of the average Nigerian sees politics, when you get there, the first thing you think about is self. I want to change my wardrobe. I need to get a new car. I'm not an honorable. You see, what is...
the thing in Nigeria is when it is against you, it is corruption.
It's corruption.
When it is for you, it is connection.
That is the problem.
That is it.
So we need to change the
problems
lexicon.
too.
We are
We're
followers are part of
too.
the problem.
Let's move on to
We
another
produce the kind of leaders we are seeing today.
All right, let's look at this one from the Guardian newspaper. It's not the major story here, but it says George recuses self from Nnamdi Kanu's treason trial. Now, on the Vanguard newspaper, on the Punch newspaper rather, it says Kanu, hot drama as George steps down. You know, she's been on the case for a while now, and she just stepped down, I think, yesterday. So what's your take on it?
Quite interesting.
I think she's justified for stepping down.
Justified?
Yes.
How is she justified?
I'll tell you why she's justified. She's a jurist of repute, and when the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, has submitted a judgment that Kanu should be released, and they put a subpoena that this man should be released. Now, at every adjournment date, it is expected that the judgment must be implemented. She has implemented the judgment verbally and in written application that it should be released. But the powers that be have refused, are still keeping him. For morality's sake and for the integrity of her personality as a jurist, I think the best thing to do is to resign. He said to the CJ, if the CJ cannot compel, the Supreme Court is the apex court, and the 15 judges of the Supreme Court are assumed to be the best legal luminaries in the land. Yes. And when they make a pronouncement, a lower court had equally pronounced earlier that Kanu should be released, and Kanu was not released. If you have something about this man, then put it in another process. So bring out the facts. So she's resigning. She submitted a letter to the chief judge yesterday that please another person should be allotted this case to continue with the case. Our system, our legal system, has been compromised by the executive.
And what is the judiciary doing? Because, like you said,
this
just exposes the state of our judiciary in Nigeria. But I think that instead of retiring, shouldn't she be working with other judges and
She
the
didn't
Supreme
say
Court,
she retired.
the NBA?
She's
dressed. How would the executive sit high up there and detect what happens in the judiciary?
Yes, but it's been happening. I mean, there's been a lot of distorted.
This is a slap on her face. This is a slap on the Supreme Court.
This
It's
is
a
a
slap
slap
on
the
entire
judiciary.
NBA.
Now, the truth is, she could have done what you have said. She could have. But it not
Would
how
you
many
ever
people-
handle
how
any other
many
case?
people- Yes, it's like you're speaking from the perspective like you're in. UK, you're aware there's a
I'm
conflict.
trying to be objective.
We are trying. That is how it ought to be, but Nigeria doesn't work that way. We're trying to change it to work that way. Now, if she had gone along that line, there's a possibility of intimidation, a possibility of assassination attempts. Oh, yes, the chief judge of Nigeria was assassinated. Late Bola Ige was assassinated in his own house after coming from. He was a 7th chief judge. Was assassinated. Till today, nobody has been held accountable for that death. His aides just left him. The killers came, killed him in his house. They are talking to someone about someone that is not. Look, she applied wisdom. Wisdom is profitable to them that have sense in Nigeria.
So anything happens in Nigeria now.
Anything goes.
Anything can happen to any man, and no one's
It's
going to say
unfortunate.
anything.
You see, there's judges that would have the political will to do it, but some might not have. She loves her family. She wants to live long, and you can see the venom in Kanu's voice yesterday.
Yeah, he was so pissed.
He was so pissed.
He was pissed. It was really way out of line, the video. All right, looking at Daily Trust, this one, I have lots of questions in my mind, but I'm
still thinking of this particular headline.
Don't think I have lots of questions in my mind, but let me just read the headline. It says, Army discharges female soldier who accused officer of sexual advances, cites mental challenge, exonerates colonel of allegation, and now the Women Affairs Ministry is silent.
It's very unfortunate.
A whole lot of you
exactly.
suspect foul play here.
Why? What is the narrative is a clear indication of foul play. That is what you were saying just
because
now.
Mr. Mishak, in my mind, if they were like
why can you say
mental challenge, why is she
in the army?
Military officer?
Why is she in the army?
Place? No,
why is she not killed?
No, it can happen that that a person could be working in a particular place or be a serving officer and then something happens.
Listen, don't justify this one.
I'm not justifying. I'm talking about the mental challenge.
No, it can happen.
I'm talking about yes. But I'm not justifying. I'm a woman, and I'm waiting to get your take on this.
You see, the truth is, you see, Nigeria has a lot of complexities. That's why before now, I think 2 writers ago, before now, I talked about power. You see, at times you sit down and ask, why would somebody have so much money want power? Now, in power is relative. Now, and there are different impacts and imports of power. There's so much that has transpired in this case. I followed up the case initially. This lady was truly compromised. And they play the outlook. If you don't have, Nigeria has been so formatted that godfatherism thrives in every sector of our life and livelihood. Nigeria has been so traumatized by the import of godfatherism, and that is one thing that has played out. Now, if you look at a lot of things have changed there. Godfatherism, money, intimidation, even family intimidation. No matter the evidences, there's a way the military covers its own. If it's the civilian issue now, the Ministry of Women Affairs, Human Rights Commission, they would have come out. Yes. But the military, there must have been threats, the military. But all said and done, insane crimes, the Ministry of Women Affairs should come out.
Exactly.
The female lawyers, whatever they call them, they should come out. This is a test case because these things have been happening in most of us military formations and
Yes,
barracks.
it happens every
and
day, just that
day.
the victims don't come
Don't
out to
come
talk.
out. They are intimidated and the cases are swept under the carpet. But we don't need to allow that to continue. We need to create an environment where the girl child would have a sense of responsibility,
And safety.
a sense of safety, a sense of commitment in the discharge of her duties. And at the same time, now you are discharging her from the job to make it look like she's truly she's the one accusing, and the corner is the victim. You see how the table has turned, and that is the Nigerian scenario for you. And that is why we talked about. That's why we talked about when the judge resigned. We talked about saying our clients would have been like this, would have been like this. Yes, it could have been, but you see,
But she knew that the fight wouldn't have yielded any positive results.
Look, she stayed this long. She would have resigned from the case a long time ago, but she stayed this long because she was treading softly. But when she looked at, she had done other consultations. When she looked at the powers that be, look, judiciary is just a figurehead. Most times, judgments are interpreted. They are an interpretation of what the executive has decided.
So does it mean we don't have any arm of government, any agency, any parastatal that has integrity in Nigeria? The judiciary is compromised. Now the military, that we used to love the military. We knew the military for being just and having a lot of integrity, but this is what is happening. Before I let you go, let's move away from this story. Let's talk about what's happening. Matawale, Zamfara, Lawal, Matawale's feud gets messier. Here on the Vanguard is captured this way. Denying ties with banditry by swearing on Quran. Matawale challenges Zamfara Governor General Busar.
You see, our politicians are behind the banditry, the Boko Haram. Some of them are in the National Assembly. Some of them are like you have heard.
But to what end are they doing this? What do they hope to achieve?
They hope to achieve political instability. And basically that is what they are.
By being a threat to the lives of citizens.
They don't, it's you that value life of citizens. There are people that have a mentality dysfunction. They just assume there are people that are religious bigots. And there are people that have a mindset of retrogression. And that is the kind of Zamfara. I believe what Matawale has said about the Zamfara governor. I believe it's hook, line, and sinker. But it's not about him alone. There are a lot of splinter politicians who have splinter group of bandits who are. It's going to get worse.
So it's all about a link.
It's all about
a broad link spread
it's a
across.
web. It's a web.
Like a web.
All right.
That's what is happening.
Thank you so much, Engineer Mesha.
Thanks for having me.
Those are the headlines we'll be able to review this
man.
morning. Please get yourself copies of these newspapers, and you can read them online and read the stories up for yourself. This morning, we bring in your interview segment. We're going to be talking about food security and means to sustainable economic growth. And our guest is Oweji Honorable Chief Aneke Ifemeni, the Executive Assistant to the Government, Agriculture and Program Coordinator, Delta State Coconut Program. We'll bring you that interview now. Please take a listen.
It's hot. It's something new. It's Event 360. Are you a minister of the gospel, a co-proprietor, a producer, corporate body, a financial institution, small and medium enterprise, NGO, or are you interested in owning a business of your own and running it successfully? Then join us on Event 360 every Sunday at 7 p.m. on Delta Television, channels 25, 41 and Start Times on channel 115. Event 360 is designed to showcase your social events as well as to advertise your goods, services and ideas from Monday to Friday, with presentation on Sunday at 7 p.m. For sponsorship, event coverage and participation, please call Tony on 0803-406-4079. Grace on 0806-974-8133. Event 360, a platform for all-round participation. Join us.
My people, una know say to chop plenty fruit and vegetable every time dey help person live long. You no go fit see anything when they give good nutrition when boku pass fruit and vegetable. Fruits and vegetables get plenty vitamins like vitamin A, B, C, and E, and other minerals like magnesium, zinc, phosphorus, potassium, and folic acid. You see, food when contain vegetables and fruit, they help lower blood pressure, reduce the risk of heart disease and stroke, prevent some kind cancer, help lower cholesterol level and blood pressure, remove yamayama from your system, protect you from digestion wahala and high problem, come make your skin dey shine muke muke. E good to eat fruits and vegetables every day, and if you even get blender, you fit blend different fruit when you like together to make sweet drink when oyibo dey call smoothie.
Now the Delta State Committee of Food and Nutrition and Delta State Ministry of Information now bring una this message.
That first news, that first kick, that first cry, and those first moments put baby to mother's breast right away. That first yellowish milk, colostrum, has the nutrients baby needs to grow healthy, strong, and sharp. Ask your health worker to put your baby to the breast within the first hour.
Start strong. Zero water exclusive breastfeeding for better future.
This message is from the Delta State Committee on Food and Nutrition and the Delta State Ministry of Information.
Nigeria is currently facing significant challenges with food shortages and rising food inflation, issues that affect every household and have far-reaching implications on our economy. The agricultural sector, which has been a long-standing cornerstone of our nation, is under strain. This is as the country battles food shortages which have worsened the food inflation put at over 40% by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS. Nigeria's inflation figure reached a new high, hitting 34.19% in June 2024, declining to 33.40% in July, according to the data from NBS Consumer Price Index. On our interview segment on Morning Right today, we are joined by the Pioneer Majority Leader, Delta State House of Assembly, Executive Assistant to the Governor on Agriculture and Program Coordinator, Delta State Coconut Development Program, Ogwiji Honorable Chief Aneke Ifemeni. Good morning, sir. Welcome to Morning Right.
Thank you. Good
Welcome
morning,
to the
viewers.
program.
Thank you.
Together we'll be discussing the current food security situation in Nigeria, the role of agriculture in our economy, and how the initiatives in Delta State are contributing to sustainable growth. Once again, welcome to Morning Right.
Thank you.
So, what is your assessment of the current food security in our country, Nigeria?
It's, I don't even know the best language to use to it, because in as much as the government is making some pronouncements, it's not palatable to what we are seeing on ground. I think we are getting worse instead of getting better. It's getting worse.
Okay, and how has this, affected the average Nigerian household?
It's just everybody is terrified, because you can't imagine even the smallest thing you will take early in the morning, even as a poor man, Gary. You cannot afford it. Even you that cultivates it, that's the farmers themselves. They find it difficult to even eat Gary. Why? Because you find out that they are farmers, fine. Then the major challenges for the local ones anyway for now is maybe by the time you get to their farm, now that it's raining, maybe everybody's home. By the time you finish raining, you go back to your farm, you find out that the cattle raiders have invaded the farm. Then what do you have to harvest tomorrow? So you find out that only a few people harvest the cassava and have access to cassava. So based on that, there are many of us that are pursuing the same few ones that are being harvested. And you find that it's very expensive. That's why you buy a pint of Gary for 4,500 naira. Now, this used to be ordinary 350 naira 2 years back. 350 naira. Now it's 4,500 naira. It's terrible.
Okay, bringing it back to Delta States now. Delta states. You know, we are not even finding it funny here in the States. So, sir, can you tell us some of the efforts by this current administration to help in addressing the food insecurity in this state?
I think the government, they are still trying their best, but the problem is not just for the state government.
Okay.
Because this insecurity aspect of it is beyond the state government. The state government cannot afford to chase away all the cattle rearers. It will cause a different crisis entirely. So, but I think they've set up a committee headed by the deputy governor to be in charge and monitor situations and be giving him the state governor reports. Yeah, on that. So for that caliber of person as a deputy governor being in charge of food security, and he himself too is a farmer, to my knowledge, I'm sure that is part of it. Then, of recent, for a long time we didn't have a commissioner for agriculture anyway. But of recent, the governor just appointed the commissioner for agriculture. So, a man that has a focus, the person of Honorable Val Reinka, and very experienced man. And from the way he has started, it's like he's in a familiar terrain. Okay. So he has been briefed, and even before he's briefed, he knows what is on ground. You don't need to tell his story because he has been on ground ever since. So there are some facilities in place to address that. But I know that majority of the issues have to flow from the top.
And that is the federal government. Okay, let's not talk about the federal government. Let's talk about their policies and the actions of the federal government. Do you think they're doing enough to, address food shortages in the country and food inflation? And what are the major challenges we are facing in the agricultural sector in Nigeria?
The major challenge now is this herdsmen interfering in the farms. Secondly, lack of equipments, agricultural inputs, equipments mostly.
Okay.
Like in Delta State, for instance, we have massive land that are docile, but there's no equipment to deforest them. There's no tractors, no bulldozers, nothing. And even when they are valuable, not to the reach of a poor farmer.
Okay.
So it's a very big problem. See if the government are ready, both federal and state, to checkmate this food security. They should bring the equipments. That is, we're not saying let it be available for the farmers.
And affordable.
And affordable.
Okay.
That's another thing. It should be available and affordable. But to some extent, the government can use that as their own contribution. It might be an incentive for farm because not everybody wants to go into the farm. Okay. But when they know that they can have equipment free of charge government, okay, you have land, you just want to deforest it or apply it or process it for easy cultivation. Government can come and just do a day or 2 days job for you. And then you have the whole year to cultivate the farm. And before you know it, you have enough food. That will encourage some of our people. Because the cost of that processing, it will cost you not less than 200,000 naira a day to hire a tractor.
Okay. So hold on. You mentioned two challenges: farmer headers crisis and the lack of equipment.
And many other things, but those are the two major ones.
The two major challenges that is facing the agricultural sector in Nigeria.
The third one, our youth are not embracing farming.
The third one, youth are not engaged in farming.
So based on that, you hardly see workers that will follow you to the farm.
Okay. Now, these three challenges you just mentioned, do you think the federal government and the state governments are doing enough? They're coming up with policies, they're coming up with actions to address these three challenges that you've mentioned?
Well, to the federal, I've not seen anything serious there, but I want to say that for that of our state, we have so many youth organizations here and there. I think all we can do is we make an input. Let them co-opt the Ministry of Agriculture in any youth forum that they are trying to organize, so that we'll be able to lecture them on the importance of agriculture. In fact, they know it, because if agriculture is not important, how can you eat early in the morning before you go for your daily activities? Okay. So agriculture is very, very important. But we just want to lure them keen into it, because the old men are aging out. You hardly see young men of
25, 30 following you to the farm. So who is going to cultivate those food you will buy tomorrow in the township?
Okay.
That is why the food is scarce and costly and expensive.
Okay. So recently, the United States sent a humanitarian aid to help those who are hungry, you know, just to alleviate hunger, most especially about $27 million, yes, to vulnerable populations hit by food insecurity in the country. Please, sir, can you help suggest ways that this money can be put into eradicating the hunger menace in the country? Because hunger is becoming a problem, a very, very serious problem in this country. So can you suggest ways that that money can be put into eradicating the issue of hunger in this country?
Well, if I suggest so, I don't know who is listening to me, because this money will enter the federal government and they will not, the next day they will say the states have received, and the next morning you hear the states say they have not seen anything. So I'm not sure if the money has gone down. If it has gone down, I will be talking to our state. And if we are talking to our state, I'm talking to myself too, who is in agriculture. But for now, that money is just newspaper and the social media.
So it has not come yet.
It has not come yet.
Okay.
But if you
were to provide advice,
if
we have to give an advice.
yeah, the money should come physically. The money should come. If Delta State has $10 million, for instance, for agriculture alone, I'm telling you that things will turn around in the next 1 year. Ordinary $10 million. Let's put it on agriculture.
Just like what Perpetua asked, what would you, if you were to give an advice to the federal government on how to manage that fund that has been given to Nigeria, what would be your advice to the federal government? How should they objectively manage that resources and put it in the agricultural sector to address the issue of food shortages and food inflation in the country?
There was a time I sent a proposal to the federal government, and I don't know what happened before you know it. Some people will just use the opportunity to just divert the money and use it for something else.
What was the proposal?
Otherwise, I won't say everything here. But what I say that if I'm the federal government, I will send this money to the various states.
Okay.
Send this money to the various states based on their capacities, and then appoint a coordinator that will follow up this job. Because one thing is to distribute money, another thing is to follow it up, how it's being utilized. So if you appoint a coordinator, maybe zonal coordinators or state coordinators to truly monitor, because you cannot rely on their ministry. The ministries are not doing any work. If you go to Ministry of Agriculture, Federal Ministry of Agriculture, for instance, you won't get anybody. They don't have staff. They will tell you they are handicapped. These things are not there. You hear it on the radio. You come to your state office or the federal ministry, you will not see anything there. So let there be a different structure entirely that will take in charge of those grants. Is it grants, they said?
Yeah, aid.
Which is more or less like a grant.
Yes.
But that one is better if it's money. But say food items, I don't encourage that one, because that one is not going anywhere. Few people will just sell it off on the road, and then that is all. We won't hear anything about it. And there's no way such kind of fund will reach everybody.
Sure.
Yeah, so you must identify those who have the passion for agriculture and then give it to them. Like as I said, the Delta State, for instance, we have all it takes. We have the enabling environment. So if we have such money, the farmers are ready.
Okay.
To do that.
Over time, we've heard the federal government, we've heard state government talk about their plans for the agricultural sector. They talk about amount of money, huge sum of money being put in the agricultural sector, policies being brought out, initiatives being brought out, and they seem to be willing to want to tackle the issue of food shortage and food inflation in the country. But what are the major obstacles to achieving food self-sufficiency in Nigeria? What are the obstacles we're being faced with, really?
First and foremost, some of these funds are being hijacked. I said it earlier. Like you go to Abuja, you have so many portfolio farmers, and they will have the best of ID card hung on their neck and convince you that they are in charge of Delta State. Before you know it, everything being distributed on behalf of Delta State, the man will just take it away. Because Delta is not an APC state. We may have no much link, because some of them are in APC. I know them. Before you know it, they will take over the product that belongs to Delta State and then divert it. And you do not get it. It's happening to so many other states. That's why I'm saying, if they have to, you come through the government, the governor, for instance, governor will go to Minister of Agriculture, they will nominate somebody, they will know somebody who is in charge of such grants. So by the time they are going for auditing, they will know who to meet and who to identify in charge. So the current way they are doing it is not helping matters. In the north, they don't have problem because one big man will just take over and take it to his village, and he will feed everybody. Everybody, because once they believe in their big man, their rich man who is representing them, they don't care. But in our own side down here, it's not like that. So that's why believing in one person just coming to Abuja and hand over something that is meant for Delta State to one person without proper accreditation, it's not the best.
All right. So this is not the first time we are hearing that an international organization is sending aid in terms of money to help the humanitarian humanitarian issues in the country, in terms of alleviating hunger and all of that. So, sir, in your experience, why has this not helped Nigeria from the looming food crisis, notwithstanding the amount that is being pumped into Nigeria to help mitigate hunger and all of that? Now, bearing in mind that sometime in June, this same United States sent about $11 million for this same cause. So why has this not helped at all? This not helped at all? Because notwithstanding the amount of money that they've been pumping, we still have issue of hunger. And by the passing of each day, it's disheartening to note that it gets worse. You can take 150,000 naira to the market to get foodstuff, and you feel like somebody put hand into your pocket to take 100,000, because you'll be looking for what you bought and you can't even find it because it's not tangible like it used to be before.
You mentioned $11 million.
Yes.
If we have to share it according to the 37 or 36 states, that's less than 1 million per state. How are we sure that the money got to the state? If Delta State receive $500,000, you know what it takes.
Yes.
The Delta State Minister of Agriculture will be bubbling without affecting the state budgets. So the money is not getting down. That is the truth. Some of those people, they just mention it for mentioning's sake. What we need is equipment. We need equipment on ground. And equipment is not just ordinary equipment, standard ones, not this one that will just work in the farm for 2 days and that's the end.
Okay.
But we need tractors to deforest most of our land. We need tractors, we need farm implements. Then all these things being on ground and it's available, it's unaffordable. That is because food security is producing what you will eat and even give to other persons. That means you are secured. Then you can market it, you can sell it. That's your food. But if you don't have the one, you can't produce the one you can eat. There will be hunger everywhere now.
Okay.
And then I'm sure that will checkmate, if you have the equipment to eat, you checkmate this issue of another illicit security from the herdsmen.
All right.
Because by the time you deforest everywhere, there's nowhere for them for their cattle to hide, nowhere to hide.
Okay, now let's come down to the state level. Can you give us an overview of your role as the Executive Assistant on Agriculture in Delta State?
Well, I contribute in any form of anything agriculture, be it cassava, anything. But I have concentration on coconut now. Fine, the coconut is okay, but in cultivating the coconut, we still have to intercrop with cassava,
Okay.
Yam, watermelon, cucumber, and vegetables to intercrop for some years. Immediately I came in as SSA first before I became the executive assistant. I made sure that, one, I organized the farmers. That time the farmers were in about 3 different fashions. I made sure I organized them. Today we have all farmers association, Delta State, one single entity.
Okay.
Then we made sure we went to share and brought some cassava varieties, which hitherto were not here. And that's what is popular now. They made sure they give us trailer loads, which we now distributed to farmers,
Okay.
free of charge. As at that time, we asked them, you take, cultivate, next year, give us 40% of your cassava stem. We try to do that It worked for some time, but at least today, that cassava stem is spreading all over the place. Except sometime last year where there was fire outbreak here and there. So there were a lot of casualties. Many people lost their farm and their cassava stem. So a lot of people are not buying. Otherwise, we don't used to buy this cassava stem. But last year, they bought a lot. Okay. So that cassava stem is popular now. It's in almost every village. You will try to let them know too that if you cultivate cassava today in this land, the next minute you must change to something else. Because a lot of them will just do cassava, and by the time you overuse the land, you will not be productive enough. So you need to change your croppings, and then making use of fertilizers too, which the state government have been assisting in that area, making sure that the fertilizer is affordable. It's very, very low compared to the market rate. If you go to the ministry, we have state ministries in the various local governments, extension offices, so where you can get some of those things. So even the crops too, you get it from them. So what we do more is the awareness, creating the awareness to let them know that this is what and what we have. Some of them who doesn't have access to electronics too, even on the weekend when you are home, some of them will come and ask you, what do people have? I say, okay, go to the ministry in the local government. You will see some of those things that are there. Today, some of them are happy. You see them happy with themselves, but not without that challenge of the herdsmen and then the other ones that I mentioned earlier.
Okay, these initiatives that you just mentioned are very wonderful initiatives. How have you fared so far? And has these initiatives that you just listed out, have they contributed to the economy of Delta State?
Definitely they have. I move on a daily basis. I see farmers, at times I stop and then interrogate them before I will even introduce myself. They say, you are not a farmer. I say, I will show them my uniform inside my boot, show them my boot and my collars. It's okay, you are a farmer too. I say, that's why I interview you. So I enjoy them now. I see so many of them. Mostly, if you go to Ogwashi area, Tues, Kwale, you see some young men too that are keen into agriculture now, mostly of cassava area, because since cassava became so expensive some months ago, there's a lot of concentration on it. But that's it. If you plant cassava, you can still have the passion to plant any other thing. So I feel happy when I see most of them going or coming back from the farm, and I enjoy it. You go to price some of their products too. They are very reasonable. They are not. They don't say because the condition of the country is so bad they will inflate the price. No, they are very, very reasonable in their prices. Sometimes I buy from them myself, even when I have some of those things.
Okay. So the Supreme Court recently ruled in favor of local government to have their own financial autonomy. Now, sir, what are some of the possible roles that the local government authorities in the states can play to, prevent this food insecurity? Because we are all stakeholders and we all have roles to play. And these roles begin from the grassroots level, whether we like it or not. So what are some of the roles that, this local government can play to, help in reducing or mitigating the food insecurity?
That is if that thing works out. Like I read too that they've set up a committee that will enforce it.
Yes.
So it will be the best thing that will happen to us in Delta State, because every local government is viable for agriculture. And I can assure you that I have started talking to some of the local government chairmen, my own local government in particular. I've written to him and given him the lowdown of how they go about it. And I want to plead that for every local government, just budget 10 to 15% of your budget in agriculture alone. Let's go minimum, because you have some other things. So 10-15% of your annual budget, put it on agriculture. You see everywhere will be booming.
Okay.
And I'm available, whether as SSO or as an individual. I will go around there, because it's my joy that my state is booming, agri-wise. If you travel abroad, it's agriculture that is reigning. You go to the various cities, both in America and UK, Europe, it's agriculture. The millionaires there, they are agriculturists. So, but here, they think that when you are into farming, you are a poor man, or you have no other thing to do. That is not true.
Okay. You are the program coordinator, Delta State Coconut Development Program. What is the Delta State Coconut Program, and what are its primary objectives?
Thank you. Hitherto, we have oil palm programs which was introduced way back the time of Bender State, before Delta and other. So by the time I came in as SSA to the Governor on Agriculture, I went into, I was domiciled in the Ministry of Agriculture. That was the first time.
Okay.
So I now went into research. What else can we do? What can we do to generate money in the ministry? That you know. And I went into the coconut. I keyed into it. I did my research. I found that it's very, very viable, more viable than even the crude oil that we are pursuing, if we can give it a concentration. So I now wrote to the governor, and finally approved of it. We now started. So our mandate is to sensitize the masses that coconut is a product that you cannot play with, because we have them all lying away in the villages, but nobody knows the value. I can tell you that the level of sensitization we are giving now, like I said in that of cassava, today if I'm driving from here to Kwale, you see a lot of people planting coconut in their frontage. Some who doesn't have, but a lot of people are now into coconut farming. Based on that sensitization, we make sure that we provide, though we just started, we will provide seedlings at a very cheap rate to them. We'll do the nursing, just like Lagos State is doing. Lagos State is the highest for now, followed by Akwa Ibom State. Then some other states are keying in, and then I assure them too that we will beat them. And that is what we are doing now. So by the grace of God, based on what we have on ground, in the next 3 years, anybody that needs coconut will come to Delta State. Both coconut seedlings and the coconut itself. Because it is so expensive now that for you to get one seed of coconut from 50 naira now to 1,000 naira, 800 naira. I don't know if you have been to the market to price coconut.
It's quite expensive.
Even the seedlings that used to be 150 naira, these Igbo men hawk on the street way back. You can't get it for 3,000 naira now on the street. Why? The factors being that cost of transportation, these areas like Lagos, and even Lagos too, it's not the only bus stop. You will go as far as Ghana, Cameroon, to import these seedlings and this coconut.
Okay.
Some of these ones we see that we are eating here, some of them are not made in Nigeria, because it's not even sufficient. So the few people that are into coconut farming, they cannot satisfy even one client that owns a coconut mill or refinery. So that's why we're encouraging everybody to go into coconut.
Okay.
And you can never make mistake. It's a win-win situation when it starts fruiting. It may be difficult at the beginning, but once it picks up, it starts fruiting, just like any other business, because for you to set up a business, you must pass through some challenges. Yes.
Okay. The coconut program has been on since the administration of former Governor Ifeanyi.
He just started 2 years ago, 2022. He approved of it before he left.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you share some success stories of the Delta State Coconut Program?
Yes. Like now we have a pilot scheme that we just started before he left. And I have it situated in Onichukwani. That's where I base, where I can control. Because you need to provide your land. Then we have another one in Umuaja, and then Otabuno, then in Biri. They are still upcoming.
Okay.
If you go to government house too, you see coconut here and there. That is my effort, because before now there was nothing like coconut in government house. Even in these DBS premises, I'm sure you see some coconut out there. It was my own contribution to. I brought it out, did the planting with my boys and your then general manager. So we have tried to create a lot of awareness, and they are accepting it, left, right, and center. They are accepting it, and many other individuals. I have about 50 of businessmen that have keyed into this coconut farming, and they have their own plantations here and there. I did the monitoring, I did the technical input, advising them on what and what to do. All are big men there. So in the next 4-5 years, when these things will start fruiting, you can imagine how overwhelming it will be with coconut.
All right. You've rightly mentioned that coconut farming is very, very important. So to the private individuals now, how important is it for them to invest in coconut farming? Bearing in mind, according to what you said, it's not a 1 naira thing, you know, it's highly intensive when it comes to the cash aspect. And also there have been campaigns for coconut farming in the state. Like you said, you've planted in different places just to create awareness on the importance of this crop, and you know how important it is in all aspects, not just for the provision of food but for the provision of income, more importantly. So what has been the feedback like? You know, has it been favorable? Have people been complaining, or have they been welcoming it with open arms?
One, coconut takes 3.5 years to 4 years to start fruiting. So it's not a crop that you plant today and start harvesting tomorrow. So we just started about 2 years ago. So you still have about 2 years to now start expecting results. But that notwithstanding, a lot of people are still keen into it. And there are so many versions of it. Like for instance, one of our great achievements is to have access to lands. Today in my office, we can tell you that I have not less than 10,000 hectares of land waiting to be cultivated, donated by the communities who owns those land, based on our awareness that we created. Yes, you can own a land and you don't have the cash to cultivate it. Then we go into partnership with you. So there's partnership aspects of it. The state government will have its own share. You that donated the land, you have your own share. Then the management of the farm will have their own share. That's part of the incentives, and that's what's attracting most of them. So some of those who have land here and there, so many areas, we have covered almost the entire state. We have lands waiting. All we are waiting for now is to get the funding, and then we start.
Funding from the state government?
The state government, yeah.
Okay. What initiatives does the state government have in place to encourage youth participation in agriculture here in Delta State? Because you mentioned, when I asked you about the challenges, you said youths are refusing to go into agriculture. So what initiatives has the Delta State government put in place to really encourage youths to go into coconut farming or any kind of farming in Delta State?
It's our job now. That's my job now. It's we that is convincing them.
Talk to us about initiatives.
Yes, it's because we need. I have a pamphlet, but I don't have it here. But I'll give it to you. I have a pamphlet I distribute to them. The benefits of coconut. You know, like the youth. You have a family. You have a family land. Yes, take out your family land. The family land will sign that they are giving us this land for cultivation. You will be part and parcel of the cultivation. You don't need, automatically you will be part of the management, and then you'll be following up. Before you know it, 4 years is like 4 hours. Yes. Because we are in second year of sheriff government now. Before you know it, we'll be talking about another election. So some people will think that 4 years is much in their life. 4 years is not much. Just have a little patience. So I can assure you that most of the people that came for donation of their community land or family lands, majority of them are youth. They're ready, they're interested. Because by the time I give you, it's not everything we say on air, but by the time I give you the benefits of one tree of coconut, only one tree, the benefit is enough for your retirement.
Retirement?
Yes.
One tree?
Yes.
Enough for the retirement?
Yes.
Okay, you talked about waiting for funds from the state government.
No, waiting. It's in progress. We have our budget and everything. Yes, we have to do it progressively. So at the appropriate time, you'll be hearing more of us.
Is there a time frame? Because you mentioned that farmers could come get seedlings, these coconut seedlings from your office. Is this still available? Can farmers come?
This is the best time.
This is the best time to come for the seedlings.
Yes.
So these are very available, and they're giving free of charge to farmers.
No. They're not giving it free of charge.
Okay, what is the process?
You will buy at a reduced rate. That's for now.
Okay.
We have not produced the one that we can give. Even if it's free of charge, it will be conditional. It cannot be free of charge like that because we will spend money to process it.
Okay,
yes.
All right. Finally, what message would you like to give to the people of Delta State regarding the importance of food security and their role in achieving it? Your last words as well.
What I can say is that security is for everybody. If you have any security challenge in your village, report to the vigilante or go to your local government chairman. There's always a task force that is in charge. Like livestock, there's this herdsmen, we have livestock development committee, we have herdsmen and farmers clashes. So we have some team operatives that have been set up to go and checkmate. If there's any herdsmen disturbing your area, you report to them. They will know, they will trace, even if they just come eat your crops and go away, they will come back and they will be able to trace the owners of those cows or cattle.
Okay.
So that's what is in place, and that is enough confidence for you to know that your farm is safe. If you go to the farm, you have all the contact. Even like me, you call me, I'll just link you up to whoever that is in charge in your area.
Okay.
So the assurances are that the government is encouraging everybody to go to farm, and they are not leaving you alone. You are not on your own. Unlike before now, when cattle rearers will come, invade your farm, operate as they like, and go away. No, this time around it's not so.
Okay. You've heard it from Ogweji, Honorable Chief Neke Ifeni. He said the Delta State government is assuring you that you can go to your farms and they'll be there to provide security for you. Thank you so much for joining
Thank you
us
so much, sir.
this Wednesday
Thank
morning
you.
on Morning Ride. Ogweji, Honorable Chief Neke Ifeni is the pioneer majority leader, Delta State House of Assembly, and the executive assistant to the governor on agriculture and program coordinator, Delta State Coconut Development Program. As we wrap up today, Petra, your last words.
No matter how difficult it is, let's keep hoping that there will always be light at the end of the tunnel. Things will definitely get better. I believe so, and I hope so too.
And for me, I was speaking. Had an amazing time with you on the ride this morning, and I hope you enjoyed every bit of it. Yes, as always, it has been a pleasure being a companion this morning. I am blessing Usiabada together with the incredible Perpetua Boba. We say thank you for joining us on Morning Ride. But before we go, we will take a moment to send our heartfelt birthday messages to two very special people. First, to our General Manager, Mrs. Christy Jobame Emetulu. Ma, your leadership, your kindness, and your dedication inspires us all. We wish you nothing but love, joy, and many more fruitful years ahead.
Happy birthday to you, ma'am. You've been nothing short of amazing. You're a quintessential leader, an enigma, someone who listens, and someone whose leadership role should be emulated. We wish you nothing but the best on this day as you add another year. And speaking about birthdays, it's the birthday celebration of one of our colleagues. I'm talking about no other than the Pope himself, Francis Ofulue. Happy birthday to you, sir. It's been an honor, or rather it is an honor being a colleague, learning from you, your mentorship, your guidance, your correction. We say God bless you, God keep you, God protect you, and may the lines continue to fall onto you in pleasant places.
Amen. Happy birthday, Francis Ofo, where your energy and your passion lights up the airways. We wish you happiness and we wish you success. And that is it on Morning Ride this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. On behalf of the production crew, Perpetua and I will say good morning and have a fantastic day.
First news, that first kick, that first cry, and those first moments put baby to mother's breast right away. That first yellowish milk, colostrum, has the nutrients baby needs to grow healthy, strong, and sharp. Ask your health worker to put your baby to the breast within the first hour.
Start strong. Zero water exclusive breastfeeding for better.
My people, una know say to chop plenty fruit and vegetable every time dey help person live long. You no go fit see anything when they give good nutrition when boku pass fruit and vegetable. Fruits and vegetables get plenty vitamins like vitamin A, B, C and E, and other minerals like magnesium, zinc, phosphorus, potassium and folic acid. You see, food when contain vegetables and fruit, they help lower blood pressure, reduce the risk of heart disease and stroke, prevent some kind cancer, help lower cholesterol level and blood pressure, remove yamayama from your system, protect you from digestion wahala and high problem, come make your skin dey shine muke muke. E good to eat fruits and vegetables every day, and if you even get blender, you fit blend different fruit when you like together to make sweet drink when oyibo dey call smoothie. Now the Delta State Committee of Food and Nutrition and Delta State Ministry of Information now bring una this message.
That first news, that first kick, that first cry, and those first moments put baby to mother's breast right away. That first yellowish milk, colostrum, has the nutrients baby needs to grow healthy, strong, and sharp. Ask your health worker to put your baby to the breast within the first hour.
Start strong. Zero water exclusive breastfeeding for better future.
This message is from the Delta State Committee on Food and Nutrition and the Delta State Ministry of Information.
It's hot. It's something new. It's Event 360. Are you a minister of the gospel, as co-proprietor, a producer, corporate body, a financial institution, small and medium enterprise, NGO, or are you interested in owning a business of your own and running it successfully? Then join us on Event 360 every Sunday at 7 p.m. on Delta Television, channels 25, 41 and Star Times on channel 115. Event 360 is designed to showcase your social events as well as to advertise your goods, services and ideas from Monday to Friday, with presentation on Sunday at 7 p.m. For sponsorship, event coverage and participation, please call Tony on 0803 406 4079. Grace on 0806 974 8133. Event 360, a platform for all-round participation. Join us.